Get low, get low. Oh, welcome back to Aaron's 1972 Datsun 510. And I've shot this intro video about 10 times today because I've decided what I'm going to do finally. Today we're going to change out some steering components under the car. We're going to also, what I think people are really going to be excited for, is install this Techno toy tuning front coilover suspension. This is the 510 model, not the 280ZX model. And what we're not going to do is install a big brake kit. Cue the intro video. So, the reason we're not going to install this big brake kit is because it actually won't fit underneath any of the wheels that I have. So, that was going to go on the shelf for a while. But, I realized I'm only 3 bolts away from putting these in, and I might as well install the new ball joint in the new coilover suspension versus putting it in the old stuff. So, here's what we're going to do today. I've already got the wheel off the car. A little bit of timeline, we'll go back and we'll actually show you what the where I took off all that stuff and laid out all this stuff. So there's going to be a little bit of a time jump here from the intro of the video to the exit of this video, or sort of get us up to the point chronologically. With that being said, I have new coilover suspension that is built on the 510 coil. Now, you have 2 options as a 510 guy for sort of direct bolt-in. Those are the 280ZX as well as the 510 strut. The previous owner of the car had already purchased a ton of stuff for this car. This is coilover is some of the stuff that he bought for the car. He, however, had not bought any of the stuff to fix the steering suspension stuff, so I've purchased all that later. I am realizing that I'm already right here, so I might as well, get in here and actually clean this stuff up and make it work. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the coilover, take that out, get it out of the way, take off the brake, clean it up, take off the hub, get that stuff done. I do have new bearings for the car as well, so we'll work on that. It's been a while since I've done bearings, so we'll see if I remember how to do that, and then we'll just put it all back together after that. Should be super easy, no more than 30 minutes. Realistically, I believe it's probably going to take me the better part of 5 or 6 hours to get all this done, but it'll be much cooler on the front end of this car whenever I'm done, right? Right. So without further ado, I've been talking for a long time. The next part I'm going to do is take off the old parts, get them separated from the hub, clean up the old parts, swap out the bearings, and just put it back together after replacing the steering components. Super easy, right? Let's do it. I'm stuck. Oh no, I'm stuck. Just kidding. This all took place earlier. I go ahead and jack up the front of the car and remove the wheels from the front of the car. Alright, so here are all the parts. I've got the steering arm, like the main steering arm. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of tie rod ends. One of them goes out, one of them goes in. Looks like the shorter one. I'll have to look. I don't have a new idler arm. I thought I ordered one of those. I'll have to go back and look. I thought I ordered an idler arm setup. Maybe I didn't. Maybe they ran out. New ball joints. The sort of middle section of those tie rod ends, and then the original suspension pieces were broken, and so these will replace those on both sides. That's what I've got. We're going to go ahead and get 2 getting these pieces where they need to go. Downside is these don't look to have additional hardware to mount in these, so hopefully... I thought I ordered that stuff. Where did it go? Huh. Alright, I'm gonna have to go search my orders, because I could have swore that I ordered all of the mounting hardware for all of these things like a month ago, and now that I think about it, I don't think I have them in hand. Let's go. I couldn't remember where I had ordered it from, but it was Z-Car Depot that I ordered these parts from. So it actually came along with a door panel or window handle removal tool, which I thought would be useful to have around. That's where I got the new fuel filler neck from. Some shifter bushings, and let's see, I got a throttle. I tried to do everyone a favor by go ahead and just listing out the parts before in the video. If you need to go ahead and pause the video back, go for it. But right now I'm just taking off all the pieces that hold the front coil on. So first I remove the brakes. The brakes go out from the hard line out to the caliper. I go ahead and remove those, and then I use my air assist bleeder to go ahead and just pull the rest of the brake fluid out of the line, so that way I don't end up having it get out of my way. Once I'm done with that, I go ahead and remove the top 3 bolts from the coil itself that hold it onto the inner fender, and then I go ahead and start removing the coil itself. Here I am checking and trying to see if I can remove the front nut from the spindle, and you see that I'm able to get that off pretty easily and then move that over to the table. I realized pretty early on that I'm probably going to need to take this front A-arm off, which is eventually going to lead me to paint the front A-arm after cleaning it up. Look at all those parts already starting out on the table. Now on to the passenger side, doing the exact same thing. First removing the brake lines. Once I remove the brake lines, I go ahead and remove the coil from the car itself. And you do this by removing the bolts out of the bottom of the A-arm, including the stabilizer link and the ball joints. That is a nylock nut, and so you got to make for sure it turns sort of hard almost the entire way off. But once that's done, you can go ahead and break it loose and remove the hub from the actual front spindle. And there you go, just like that, it's already ready to go. So I have the brake calipers off, I have the hubs off, and I have the coilovers off. I still have to take the dust shields off the coilovers, which are just some Phillips head screws, and then I start cleaning all this up. Now, the bearings and everything spun fairly freely. They look pretty clean inside. I'm still going to replace them. I'm already here. I've already got the bearings. I'm going to go ahead and get that done. So we'll do that while I compare these to the new coilovers. So we'll go ahead and get these stripped down, and then we will replace these pieces, and I'll go ahead and clean up all of the brake hardware here using a wire wheel and just getting in there and trying to clean up all this stuff. Once I do that, then I'll go ahead and break them down and clean up the inside, scoop out all the grease. I got to go get more grease, but that shouldn't be the end of the world to do. So that's what I'll do next. Luckily, I've done this before, so I feel confident that I can get it done, and we'll go from there. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and take the dust shields off, break apart the hubs from the... do I need to break apart the hubs? Yeah, I'll break apart the hubs just so I can give them a good cleaning. I am not going to replace the studs. This is only one of them done, and you see I don't have the inside here cleaned up either, so I've got to clean that up. but one of them's, you know, nice and clean versus the other one, not so much. I'll go ahead and clean these up, and then I'll hit them with some high temp spray that I've got that I used on the Figaro. Let them sit overnight drying and be ready to use them again. But again, sort of the before and the after. Not too bad, not too shabby. We'll keep moving. Also, you can see that I heated it up enough that it dug into the plastic. I'll have to put something down and hopefully don't do that some more. On to this one. I would say that that is done. I started just getting waylaid by these things. Even sometimes in my private parts. It sort of hurts, guys. It sort of hurts. Gotta see whether I've got any more of these. Don't think I do. I think that was my last one. But I'm gonna have to sweep up for sure before people walk out here barefooted. But that's cleaning up pretty nice. I'm going to, again, use high temp paint on it and have it ready to go back in the car. But gotta keep cleaning. It's looking good. Check out that side. Looks pretty clean. Yeah. Now I've changed out wheel bearings before in the Z, but it's been about 7 years. So my mind might not remember everything as well as I would like to. What I do remember and what I do know is that I still hate grease. So we're going to go ahead and get right to it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the old ones, toss them, well, set them aside actually, just to make for sure that they are the right size with the new ones, and then we will move on from there. So first, we're going to take the rear seal out here. We are going to then compare the new rear seal before we do that, and then just make sure everything's good and go from there. So I've got new grease to pack it. Make for sure that you get some high temp grease. You can't use just any grease. Supposedly you're supposed to use high temp grease, specifically ones for disc brakes. So first we've got the front inner seals. So we'll take a look at this real quick. Just sort of hold it up. So here's this one. If I look at it compared to the old one, looks to be the same diameter here. So I say we're probably good to go there. Pulling that right out. Okay. Now the seals look good, and they probably weren't super old, but we're here, right? So don't cheap out on this kind of stuff. Don't waste your time doing that. Like, actually take them out and check them. Okay, so we're going to just real quick sort of wipe this one. Look, and again, I don't see anything wrong with this at all. They rolled just fine, but with that one, okay, we need front inner. That's looking same there. Yep. Looking right. Okay, go ahead and put that back in. It says L44610. Go ahead and we'll wrap this one up. You're not throwing it away yet, we're just wrapping it up and setting it here so it's out of the way. I'm just going to scoop out what we can.
Oh, boom shakalaka!
Okay. With this, we want to come at this race from the other side. So what we'll do now is we will take this piece, flip it over, pop this cover off, trying to mar up all of the paint so that way all of the work that you've done over the past day just really pointless. I'm just sort of turning the screwdriver head to the side. So I'm just inserting it, turning it, inserting it, turning it, and just sort of moving it slowly around so that way this cap will pop off. Nope. Okay. So that. Okay, we've got the outer bearing. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. So we will just wrap that up as well. Come back to that. I'm sure some of you are probably thinking, gosh, this guy just loves to waste towels, to which I say, yep. It means that I don't have to touch grease. I think probably the better option here is just to use my... Since I can't quite see the race there on that side, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to scoop out a bunch of this grease. Like I said, I actually am quite happy with the look of this grease. Someone at some point in time did a good job and replaced this grease, so probably all these would have been just fine.
It's in the hole!
Okay, so I'm taking out the old races now. What you do is you find the spot where there's an opening. They're usually just sort of opposed from each other there. And I'm just taking the hammer and a punch and just giving it a nice tap. And I'm just moving back and forth. One hit on each side. Trying to move this race out of the hub. If I want, I can flip it over and look to see whether I'm moving it at all. And you can see, so hopefully the light's giving you a spot that you can actually see that the race is coming out of the car, or of the hub. So we're just continually, again, working our way around. Just smashing the thing down. We just need to slow and steady. It's moving. Just trying to make sure that I've got an actual space here for it to go down. And just like that, races out, and we'll take a look at the surface, see whether I did any irreparable damage. Although I do see a couple little dings in the side or where the punch has hit the sides. If you look, one side is narrower and one side is wider. So if you think about the shaft has a narrower side and a wider side. The wider side is going to go into the hub, and this is going to slip into it because it tapers down here this way. So I think that's what you want to hear, right? Some guy on YouTube that doesn't know what he's talking about. We'll go ahead and get the other race out, and then we'll figure out exactly what done that I need to fix. 44610. There you go, same type. Now, sometimes people will say, you know, this isn't a race. But this is a race. A bearing race. So those people will be lying to you. And you know, I thought of that joke while I was hammering that out. Just wanted to let you know. Sorry about the dad joke. Hold out. New has to go in. Clean this bad boy out.
Here it comes.
Drop that.
That was too easy.
Go ahead and use some brake cleaner. That's my favorite thing to use.
From the Waffle House, located just off the Beltway. That was embarrassing. Bullseye. How about I give you a little boom shakalaka?
Now that I have that out, I'm going to go ahead and put in the new bearing race. And what we're going to use to drive this in is sockets. I hope I have got one large enough. I do not have a socket large enough. I believe the last time I used a 2-inch pipe. How do I drive this in? I need something that's bigger than my biggest socket. Now I realize I could just use the old race as sort of a buffer here, but I still have to I know for a fact that if I put this on the floor, it would actually a little faster because I have the rebound of the table at that point in time. Okay, what I realized I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my sander and I'm just going to sand this down so that way it doesn't connect on the outside of this. Yes, I think that's fully down on that. Now I just gotta figure out how to get this piece off. That worked. Maybe not the most bestest way to do it, but it's in. Now we'll do the other side. I think will be easier because I actually have stuff that will go in there. So let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Here's the front outer race. Again, the fatter side goes in towards the seat that you want to seat it. I'm taking the old race, sort of lining it up. You can see this actually fits right at the top here. So we're gonna just turn this over like this. And make for sure that we don't booger up this new race. We will use this one until we get it down into its spot a little bit. What you really want is some wood chips in where you're putting your bearings at. you don't really. Okay, that is in. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and put you to time lapse since this is taking a really long time and move to the next one. 46 minutes, by the way, is how long this part of the video took. So much better than the days I spent agonizing over this whenever I did it on the Z, and I'm confident that the races are in a good spot. I seem to have cut myself somehow. I didn't feel anything, but something got me good. Don't worry guys, I'm okay. So if I were going to say anything about hindsight, I would say I would paint these pieces after I do all the bearing packing. These things look disgusting. So I'll have to clean them up and repaint them again, and I'll let the paint sit overnight. But the next thing we've got to do is we've got to pack bearings. And
Come
clean
on!
gloves, even though I just put these
Come
on.
on!
Just to ensure that I've got a clean work surface. And the way that I've always done this, take grease. Okay, here's some of the back ones, right? So I would take this and take this grease, and I would work it around like this in this hand, and then make for sure to rotate all of these pieces. So what you're doing is, gosh, I hate grease so much. And you just work it all around, and you try to make sure you coat all of the different spots here. So just work it around as good as you can. Once you feel confident that you've got a grease in all of the bearing surfaces, which I believe I do, set this one to the side. I should have got all the bearings out first, so that way I wouldn't have to try to dig through these things with the gross, nasty grease hands. Again, sort of pack it in, roll it around, continue to pack it in, and I'm going to fill these cavities too, just like you saw that green grease. So just making sure to get all the pieces as liberally coated as you can. Okay. Now I'm just going to do the other two bearings. Alright, so this is all the brake hardware. I've got to pull the actual bolts and everything out of the tumbler. I've been tumbling them overnight, and most of the bolts look pretty good. Not everything's perfect, but then again, this car is not perfect. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and install the A-arms. Then I'm going to put the brake rotors back onto the hub. Once I get the brake rotors back onto the hub, I'll make for sure that I put the caliper all back together. I see a couple more pieces that I actually still need to actually clean up. They're not as nice and clean as the rest of everything, so I'll clean those up. That can sort of happen after I put it all back together. But yeah, and then I will put them on the Techno toy tuning coilovers, which is a mouthful to say. So let's go ahead and get ourselves over there, put back on the A-arm, and then come back and put this stuff together. So the A-arm goes like this. It's got this locating washer. Notice it has a flat tab. That flat tab goes on the top side here. And then it's got a nylon, or nylock, 22 millimeter nut that holds it on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sort of get it back in place. And you can see the sort of how clean the nut was. That is because I ran it through that parts tumbler and just let it clean itself overnight. I didn't do any kind of scrubbing on it or anything like that. So I think it turned out really well. Very happy with the way it turned out. I'll tell you that I probably should have brought down a socket wrench and did this versus trying to bring it all the way in, but this isn't that bad. Okay, that is in place. I'll probably back it off just a little bit so it can drop. Like so. Alright, that's in. We can do the same on the other side. And I went ahead and sanded the inner shaft here on this bolt just to make sure that it was smooth as I put these pieces back together. Let's go ahead and do this for the other side. Now this side, this whole entire area is pretty dirty. Alright, well, all that crap cleaned off. Okay. Again, tab goes on top. 22 millimeter nylock. You know, my YouTube series is a lot like J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. I'm not just going to hit the highlights, I'm going to show you every single leaf that I turn over. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Okay, so in order to get this to retain, you need to go up. Let's see if I can get it up around like this. And then you just want to make for sure that the spring is about where it needs to go, because it's going to slot up and then it's going to push up and around this piece. Go like this. It should, as we bring this forward and back, it's going to retain that caliper. It's not the easiest thing to do while trying to show off to a camera, but that's what it's supposed to do. So I'll get that placed in. The easiest way to do that is probably get the spring in first. We started like that. Now that I've got the spring started, as you bring this back around into place, it naturally retains the caliper. Okay. Well, hopefully I didn't booger these threads too bad. So my initial deal was just leave this piece stuck in that piece because I didn't really understand how the brakes operated. I just took them apart and went to clean them. But as I put the other piece together, I realized that this is a rotating, like the point of rotation in this sleeve, and this is the piece that locks it into place. So this has to be free or the brakes won't work the way that they should. So I had to break it loose. So you saw me heat the piece up to about, I don't even know, as hot as I could get it really to go, and then bang on it with a hammer. So now we'll clean up this where it's nice and smooth, and we will also clean the inside of this and put it all back together. But yeah, definitely didn't think about that whenever I was doing the last one. I probably should have put some anti-seize on the other one too. But anyway, just thought you'd like to see that. Again, this is critical that this rotates, or this actually will stay put, but this piece will rotate on it. So this has to be free, it can't be stuck. It has been a long day. Friday into Saturday, I got all the stuff stripped out, cleaned up the parts, painted them, got them all together. You see I've got the dust covers on the new coils, as well as the ball joints and the steering arm. I don't have the bump stop there for that. I put these back together. I even saw that one of these was frozen, and I realized I couldn't leave it like that. So fix that. In the next set of video, or the next part of the video, I will put all this back together and into the car, which includes putting this onto the spindles. And yeah, I think it's something everyone wants to see. Coilovers going into the Datsun. Very cool. Anyway, thanks for watching up to this point. GoPro, stop recording. Oh yeah, and I also used about 900 pairs of gloves today. Alright, so in the next part of the video, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the spindles here, make sure there's nothing left on them, put the hubs on the spindles, get those sort of tightened down. Then I'll put the brake calipers on. Once I get the brake calipers on, I'll then put everything inside the car with the new mounting hardware for the ball joints. I also have these that I need to clean up, but I'll put all the parts together before I put these on the calipers. This is just trying to clean this up to make it look as nice as the rest of it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But that's what we're going to do next. So we'll go ahead and start. I find that my first time putting brake pads on a car that I haven't done before always takes forever. So I have the brake pads, brake calipers, and the hubs put on the coilovers. So now we get to install them on the car. So I got to take you off the hood so I can put the piece back underneath the car, hang it from the top, and attach it to the A-arm. So we'll go ahead and move to that. All right, so we are at the end of where we're going to get to. I don't have new brake lines to go here. The old ones work, but I'm not going to put on new ones or old ones, bleed the system, just put on new ones that I ordered in a couple days ago. So those are on the way in. I've got to get some cotter keys to finish off some of these. That being said, the front coilovers are on. Front coilovers are on. The wheel bearings have been replaced. The steering components have been replaced. The ball joints have been replaced. And I've got to tighten up the top of bolts as well once I get the suspension sort of set up sort of right where I want it. It's been a super productive weekend, but I have got to go do some other stuff, including clean this garage. So yeah, if you like what you see, go ahead, comment, like, subscribe. I hope this has been super educational for you. If you got any questions, put them below. I'll answer them as best I can. My camera died, so I reshot this last little part, and I reminded myself that I forgot to put in these bump stops. So you have a good day. Maybe click on one of the videos that's popping up. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'm going to go ahead and get these 14mm bump stops in. Stand by for all of the intros that I decided I wanted to shoot for this thing before I finally realized this is what I'm going to do today on the car. First, I thought I was just going to do my steering components. Oh, hello there. You know what's really important on a car? The steering. So today on Aaron's 1972 Datsun 510, we're going to work on the tired old steering components. Then I thought maybe I would do brakes, so I did some test fitting and the brakes won't work, so check that out. Alright, and welcome back to Aaron's 1972 Datsun 510, and today we're going to put these Techno Toy Tuning or T3 coilovers on the 1972 Datsun 510. And now I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this done. So should be good.